Are you a big fan of scary movies?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I, even from a young age, like a kid, I was watching horror films, at a very early age, but when you're a kid, you don't think about it as a horror film. You think you're just watching other people's lives, So you start to understand that horror can be anything depending on how you look at it.
And do you remember the first time you saw the first one, The Omen?
Oh, yeah. I was 7 years old.
7?
Yeah. And I just I was in love with Audrey Hepburn, so I was in love with Roman Holiday, so I was in love with Gregory Peck, so I was in love with The Omen, and I was in. And, I'd also fallen in love with The Exorcist at a young age. And so when my mom found that out, she was like, well, you got to watch this and this and this. And The Omen was there, so.
Could you sleep after that?
Oh, yeah, I was a messed up kid.
And how big is the responsibility to make a movie from this franchise?
Yeah, it's huge. If somebody else was remaking this movie or making a prequel, I myself, as an Omen fan, would be hypercritical and cynical about it. So I think with that in mind, we wanted to be very careful, and we didn't want to do a retread, and we didn't want to mimic. I just don't have that in my capabilities to mimic Richard Donner. I think he's a master. And so it was, I think, part of the pressures relieved by creating something new and telling a new story.
Yeah. And how is the balance? Because it needs to be fresh, but not so fresh. You have to have something from the old one. How is the balance for that?
Yeah, it was a constant conversation amongst all of us. And I think one thing that we knew is that aesthetically, we wanted it to feel very reminiscent of the 70s. Like, ideally, you watch this in the 76 Omen, and you think maybe these could have been shot around the same era. And so staying kind of reverent to some rules that we set in place for ourselves to kind of emulate that aesthetic was really important. But then wanting it to feel fresh and new with the content that we were talking about, and the message that we were saying.
And how nice it was to be back in the 70s to shooting these movies.
Oh, it was great. Yeah, and to shoot it in Rome also was so transportative and really special. Yeah.
Yeah, you are in the center of Catholic world. How was this energy?
Yeah, so it was interesting. Yeah, it's funny because I think working with an Italian crew was a dream because everybody's an artist and everybody was so engaged with the film. But then at the same time, we needed churches. We're a religious horror movie, but we weren't allowed to shoot in any churches. And we have a shot of the Vatican at night, and they turned the basilica lights off on us right when our permit started. It was you could feel the church around you. It was interesting.
Any scary moment during this process?
Some of the actors experience stuff like that. I think that's to be expected working on a horror film, right? Where you're inviting all of this energy in and living in it for a long time. I remained unscathed, which was very nice, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
And do you think people should watch your movie first if they didn't see before the first one? How is the...
You can go, I think what's really fun is that you could go either way. We made something, I think, that can stand alone on its own, but that Omen fans can appreciate, that dovetails into the 76 version. Or you can go 76 first and then ours. So choose your own adventure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what was the biggest challenge or the most difficult scene?
The most difficult scene? I'm okay with gore and body horror, but there's a scene where Nell screams, or Margaret, lead character, screams, and it's so visceral that it shocked me. I forgot I was on set. It really scared me. And we have a lot of women screaming in the film, and I just think that there's not really a way to physically prepare for that.
And you had a Brazilian actress in this movie.
Thank you for Sonia Braga, you guys.
How was it like working with her?
She's amazing. I was so nervous to work with her because she's such a star and such a goddess, but she's also She doesn't make you feel that way. She just makes you feel like you're just a collaborator, and she makes you feel so at home. And she's also just one of the funnest people on earth. So, yeah, she's amazing.
Oh, it's so nice. And what do you think she brought to this character?
Interesting. So she plays the head nun at this orphanage, and we were thinking, like, what's so interesting is we want this nun to feel sensual, like a sensual woman. Like what was really interesting to us was kind of humanizing these women underneath the habits and who they are and maybe their desires. And Sonia is just the most sensual being. Like she's gorgeous, and she radiates that energy and this power. And so it was perfect seeing her in a nun habit, because I feel like there's something incongruous about it. That was just delightful to watch. Yeah.
Amazing
Yeah.
to know that. And you have a lot of good females in this movie,
Yeah.
characters, and you directing this movie, and some scenes, very female scenes as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think it's a new era for this kind of scary movie with women in power?
I hope so. I sure hope so. There's so many, when then Rose Glass's films coming out, there's so many women that are coming up in the horror genre, and I think it's time. I think a lot of the times women live in horror. They know horror better than anybody. So it's very exciting, and also it's on the set of making a horror film, there needs to be a lot of trust and a lot of support, I think, to delve into intense material like this. And it was really nice to have all these women around, who were just really cheerleading each other. It was a fun vibe.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how was the energy yesterday when a lot of people was watching your movie?
It was really good. There was a lot of love. I felt really lucky. It was very nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
And what people in Brazil can expect from your movie, only to finish?
Well, you know what? I'm excited because I think that the movie is not what people are going to expect. I think when you hear Omen prequel, you expect a very specific tone. You expect a very specific storyline. And I think what's fun is that we go in a very different direction. So I think that's a fun discovery. And then it's fun kind of finding out how we hold the hand of the 1976 film. So, yeah, I hope you guys all also, Sonia's in it. And she's amazing. So, yeah.
So nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I love your nails. And
Oh, thank you.
Look in your nails.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.